I just got a new roommate, Phoebe, who moved in last Saturday. She reminded me a lot of myself back in my schooling days. Shy and quiet, always had her nose buried in a book. But she seemed to appreciate my company. She enjoyed the vase of red roses I placed on her bedside table as a welcome gift. A few days later, when Phoebe was settled in and happy, there was a knock on the door. Phoebe opened the door to find a young man standing there. He had a chiseled, smooth face, olive skin, and big black eyes. He was dressed casually in a gray hoodie and cargo shorts. "Hey there," he said, cheerfully. "I'm your new neighbor, Danny. It's nice to meet you." Phoebe blushed. There was something about Danny that blew her away. Love at first sight, that's what they call it. She invited him inside, and they chatted over tea. Turned out they had a lot of the same interests. They liked a lot of the same books. I hated Danny. He was the Prince Charming no one really needed. So I did everything in my power to make him feel unwelcome. I misplaced his things. I thwarted his plans to spend time with Phoebe by messing up his schedule. I even sent fake text messages to him from his parents. But, despite my best efforts, Phoebe gradually fell under his spell some more. Every night, she would sigh as she stared at photographs of him or them spending time together. He was over at dinner every day, and sometimes they would even sleep together, intertwining like a nest of baby snakes. To make it even worse, Danny seemed to have noticed my presence over time, and he didn't like me either. He started burning sage and incense all around the house. He even chanted prayers to make me go away. He consulted mediums and held seances. Danny even encouraged Phoebe to participate in them, and together they would sprinkle salt around the house. With his continued efforts, I gradually grew weaker and weaker. I could no longer watch over Phoebe. I could only watch helplessly as Danny finally stabbed Phoebe with a big knife, grinning like a maniac. Warm blood trickled out of her chest and towards the floor, just as he had done to me 10 months before. I know most people will claim they hate their siblings, but I honestly despise mine. They are the bane of my existence, and I wish they never existed. I am one of those people who hates when people invade their personal space, and they have no concept of boundaries. They are always crowding me and making me feel uncomfortable. I finally snapped and just murdered one of them. I have never felt such adrenaline in my life. I decided then and there to kill them all off. I have never felt so happy as I wrapped the cord around my final sibling's neck and watched the life leave their body. The next couple of weeks were some of the happiest of my life. But it all came crashing down when I was dragged out of my home. My mother wept while she held me in her hands, as I was the only one of her octuplets to survive the pregnancy. Just before the harsh winter sets in, before the hallowed soil freezes solid, and your lungs feel like they are about to burst, when you take a deep breath of the cold air, the migration will commence. One by one, they will rise, and slowly, surely, methodically make their way to warmer climates. The young ones at the front, for they have leaner muscles, eyes fitted to see perils and obstacles, and a keen nose that will catch even the vaguest scent. At the back, you'll have the elderly, the ancient, some of which cannot easily move on their own accord. They'll limp and crawl and roll and wiggle, but sometimes they'll fall too far behind, and they will be forced to give up. For such is life. We cannot interfere with the migration, so we let them be. Clear the roads, stay at home, and close the blinds. Sometimes we can still hear them. Hollow steps in the darkness, maybe a hushed and fainting sigh, eerily reminiscent of someone whispering your name. Scraping at your window at night, a knock on the front door, and you will know when to let them in. They will return to old memories, return to the place they were born, to the place they felt safe and warm and comfortable. For some, that means a very specific place. For others, it can be anywhere with a light or a fire, or just any signs of life. They will spend winter there, embraced by the deepest slumber imaginable. We tuck them in, and we make sure they are warm and loved and cared for. Just for a bit. Just until the first day of spring. Then we let them out. Start the migration anew. Bring them back to their place of rest, to their graves, to their coffins. Some will need help, for the slumber is deep and rooted in death. The migration of the dead is a beautiful thing, Daniel, my dear. It is perfectly natural, perfectly normal. Nothing at all to be scared of, I assure you. We assure you. Normal and beautiful and necessary. I choke back tears and let out a muffled scream into my pillow. No, I whimper weakly. It's not normal. It's not natural. The sight of my mother, cradling my baby brother's rotting corpse, sends shivers down my spine and bile up my throat. Her spindly fingers run through the softness of his decomposing flesh, and when she kisses him on the forehead, a part of him remains stuck to her chin. Hush, my mother says. He migrated back to us, and that's all there is to it. She tucks him in under my blanket, a red-brown chunky liquid oozing forth from every orifice of his broken, mangled carcass. Good night, my mother murmurs softly as she turns off the light, and then I feel him move.